Hey, what's up everybody? This is Royal with Paternity University. And in this video today, I'm gonna talk about how I was absolutely terrified when I did my first DNA test. So as you can see, I'm rocking my old Assurance DNA gear. That was the name of my first company, my DNA testing company. And so a little bit of backstory. I have the link to that video right here. It was actually, I charged like $320 or something like that for my first one, but I was so scared. I was so scared. But I did it. So let's get into it. I started Assurance DNA around January 2021. I moved to El Paso in about April 2021, so about 4 months later. And 2 months after that, so around June of 2021, I actually got my first sale for a legal DNA test. Man, I was so excited, but I was so nervous. I charged the lady $320 for the alleged father and child. I even swabbed her as well. And she was about an hour north of me in a whole other city, Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I was just so excited to have actually sent this person an invoice and they paid it. Like, wow, $320, like my first amount of money for a legal paternity test. And I've sold a couple of like home testing kits before, but this is my first one where I gotta look the person in the whites in their eyes and swab them. So that was terrifying, right? So I got the sale. I drove up an hour north from where I was at, met her at a FedEx. I told her, meet me at this FedEx in this outside parking lot. My first test was a mobile DNA test. It was not in an office or anything like that. And on the way up there, I was just going over how to do the swabs, like in my head. Mind you, at that time, there was no Paternity University. There was no mentor. All I had at that time was my mom. Like I could call my mom because she's been doing it for 20 something years at that point. And I didn't really call her while I was heading up there because I just wanted to try to figure it out myself. So I meet her up there. My heart was pounding because she'd already paid. I didn't want to screw it up. So she has, the alleged father there, the child, I meet them in a parking lot and I swab them mobilely in the van. So they were all in the van. I swabbed them. So 1, 2, 3, made sure, my hands were almost shaking as I did it. Put my gloves on. I had to make sure to change my gloves out for each person, discard them properly. I didn't have like I like to call it your go bag if you're going to do a mobile DNA test, like some kind of bag where you can put like the trash in and take, the chain of custody or whatever you need out, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't have that. I was kind of just like putting things into my car. And I did it. I knocked it out in like 15 minutes or so. And I met her. I'd had her meet me at that FedEx because I was gonna just drop off the samples right there and have it shipped out. So I was like, hey, you wanna come in and watch me drop off the samples? So I did, packaged it all up, put it, gave it to the FedEx people. Great, awesome. Here was the kicker. Something told me I did something wrong. I went back through my little mental checklist. I didn't even have a printed checklist. I went back through my mental checklist to make sure. I'm like, I feel like I did something wrong. And I called my mom. I call her the Oracle of paternity testing. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, please walk me through this whole thing. And she walked me through it. And that was it. The mistake that I made was the chain of custody paperwork that you have for a legal DNA test. I did not put it inside the same smaller envelope where the samples are at too. You want to put everything together and then seal it, right? And then put it inside the big FedEx envelope. I had the chain of custody outside of the smaller envelope where the samples are at. You put the samples in a little tiny envelopes separately. Then you put everything together in a medium-sized envelope. Then you put that inside the FedEx envelope. It's like 3 envelopes, right? So I had it outside. So technically, if I would have sent it like that, the lab would have kicked it back and said, well, the chain of custody was not sealed inside of the envelope. You didn't do it. Man, I walked back into that FedEx. I was like, please give me that package back. I need to redo something. And they gave it back to me. I was able to reseal it perfectly fine. The lady got her results about 3 to 4 business days later and it was fine. But I thank God I had my mom to help me. At that time, it was a Saturday, I believe. So the lab wasn't even open. So it's not like I could have called the lab to make sure I'd have everything right. And like I said, there was no Paternity University. There was nothing like that. It was just me trying to figure it out. But the lady got her results. She wasn't originally too pleased with the results, but she learned to accept them. And there it was. I got my first $320 from paternity testing, and I was so nervous. My second and third test, I was a little bit less nervous. Even to this day, when I do a test myself, you gotta have a little bit of nerves to make sure you're doing everything right. Even to this day, I'm like a little tiny bit nervous, just making sure that everything on the chain of custody is right. So it's okay. And since then, I started Paternity University. We get people that do their first test and they're nervous, just like I was. And it's perfectly fine. Y'all, if y'all are out there and you're nervous, it's okay. Some people call me, some people text me, some people email me, some people reach out in the Slack channel. That's completely fine because I was there. I was nervous. I was terrified. I didn't want to screw anything up, and I did it perfectly fine. If I can do it, then y'all can too. So the link to that first video is in the show notes of how I broke it down. I'm gonna go watch it myself and see exactly what I was talking about back then. But guys, you can download the free checklist to getting started in the DNA business. It's down below in the show notes as well. You can get Paternity University, the actual full video course with everything, like all of my lessons learned, all my mistakes and all my failures and all my successes. It's all in there. You can get it in the show notes as well. And I appreciate you guys tuning into my YouTube and liking and subscribing and commenting. I mean, I really, really appreciate it. If it weren't for y'all, I mean, I wouldn't be talking to anybody on my YouTube. Stay tuned for a very special guest for my next interview. You guys will see that coming soon. Thank y'all so much. Till next time, peace.